Alright, so just to get quickly caught up to where we left off with, we are in the Cold War, okay? We're in the middle stages of the Cold War, actually. First stage, we're looking at Truman, okay? Got us through the end of the Second World War. The Soviet Union went from being our buddies-ish, okay, to being our adversary for sure, alright? We see the Marshall Plan designed to give aid to the European countries, okay? We've seen the Truman Doctrine that is kind of brought along via the long telegram, which said that, hey, these Soviet folks, you know, we got to watch out for them. The only thing they understand is the idea of strength, okay, and standing up to them. And so Truman is going to say, yep, we will go ahead and we'll make sure that we utilize containment. We will keep the Soviets in check. We won't let them spread out any further than what they are, okay? Or we'll do our best to keep them in check, should I say, all right? And we will give aid and arms to anybody else that's fighting against them, okay? So we've got this whole thing going on. And Truman's going to be in office from, 44 or so, all the way up through the 1940s, late 1940s. And as we end the 1940s, America is saying, you know what? This Truman stuff isn't quite working that well. We had the Rosenbergs, okay? We've got Joe McCarthy convincing everybody that, yeah, there's communists under every bed, okay? There's communists in the closet. Your teacher might be a communist. Your teacher's teacher might be a communist. We've got to watch out for the communists, all right? We've got that going on. We've got war in Korea. And so the American public is saying, dang, we need something else. We need somebody. We need a strong leader. And they choose Eisenhower, okay? I like Ike. You like Ike. Everybody likes Ike, okay? That's what his political campaign song was all about. I like Ike. You like Ike. Everybody likes Ike. Stop singing, Johnson. Okay, so we've got that going on, all right? And when Eisenhower comes into office, he's going to take this Truman Doctrine, this idea of containment, okay, and focusing on Europe, our allies in Europe, and he's going to expand it some, okay? He's going to take it to cover areas like the Middle East. And eventually we'll even see some of his actions taking place down in Central and South America as well, all right? So we've got this stuff going on. But Eisenhower, we got to remember, he was a military person, okay? And as a military person who fought the Nazis, a very advanced technologically country, all right, he's going to take some of that idea home, okay, and use it to help shape his approach to how to deal with the communists. Now, what he's going to say is that, you know what, in order to beat these communists, we have got to have a strong economy, okay, so that everybody here in the United States is feeling good about where they are, what's going on. And as we'll learn that that's really not going to be the case, okay, we'll hit that tomorrow and later on in the week for sure, all right. He's also saying that by doing this, okay, by showing the world that our free enterprise has improved our style of living, our level of living, okay, that other countries will be like, oh yeah, that American way. That's the way that we like, and we want to have America on our side. We don't want to go with the Soviet Union, okay? So we've got to do that. So strong economy, okay? But also we've got to have a strong military to keep the communists in check, to physically be there. We can't have Soviet tanks rolling from East Germany into West Germany. No, that won't stand, okay? And so we've got to have a strong military to do that. But Eisenhower was smart, okay? He recognized in order to maintain a large military, it's going to cost a lot of money. All those troops, all those rifles, all those boots and everything, okay? All that deployment, all that training, it's going to really take away from the first part. It's going to take away from regular economic growth. So in order to help the economy grow, but also to deter the Soviet Union, he's going to put his emphasis and his efforts into his nuclear deterrence, okay? And part of this nuclear deterrence comes from what is known as his nuclear triad, okay, his three-pointed spear. Point one is going to be our land-based missiles, okay? Shoot off atomic bombs over the Soviet Union. If they get froggy, not a problem. The Soviet Union knocks out our missile bases before we get a chance to use them. No big deal, because we also have our bombers, our strategic bombers, that are going to be in the air 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, just outside of the Soviet Union. And if anything were to kick off, guess what? We unleash the bombers. Something happens to either one of these, no big deal, because we still have our nuclear-launched submarines. And they're positioned just outside the Soviet Union, okay? And at a minute's notice, they can launch missiles off as well. Eisenhower says, you know what? We will go toe-to-toe with you to protect areas that we feel are vital to us. We will go so far as to even use nuclear weapons if you don't back down. Okay? And he could do that because we had the backing. Now this policy of his that he's going to use is known as brinksmanship. Okay? That whole idea of we're going to go right up to the point of pulling the trigger, okay, hoping that she will back down. And typically it works because we all know that nobody wins in a nuclear war. And that's what Eisenhower was banking on, and that's what he was hoping that the Soviets would get. And it worked out well for a while, okay? With our smaller areas, and Taiwan and the Suez Canal crisis in the 1950s, okay, I'm not going to go too much into these because it's in your reading, okay, and you've got the assignments on there, and you've got the notes here to get some more information about those, all right? But it works-ish, kind of, sort of, in a roundabout way. You know, we're able to move our policy forward, we're able to help out with stuff. Things are going pretty good, okay? Now, the other side of this whole idea of brinksmanship and massive retaliation, okay, is the intelligence side. Eisenhower is going to recognize that you can't do everything through big stick diplomacy, and that's pretty much what he had, all right? It is Truman 2.0. I'm not Truman 2.0, I apologize. It is Roosevelt 2.0. Roosevelt had his big stick, okay, which was the Great White Fleet that he would sail out and intimidate, so to speak, his neighbors, okay, to enforce his foreign policy. Eisenhower's going to have nuclear weapons, but that doesn't work for every situation, okay, and so we're going to use the CIA, and the CIA is going to be kind of the soft stick, that they're going to go in and gather intelligence on our enemies, gather intelligence on the Soviet Union. What are they thinking? What are they doing? What are they planning on doing? And get that information, okay? Bring it back, give it to the right people so that informed policy decisions can be made. Informed decisions can be made, all right? Along with that, the CIA is going to take up a new kind of role, not just spying on people, but also maybe doing a little bit of overthrowing of governments, okay? Ooh, we don't like what this government is doing, so we're going to get in here, okay, and we're going to maybe lead a few rebels to overthrow this government. Now, a couple of years before this time period, under the Truman administration, all right, we have the United States pledging arms and military aid to those countries that are being threatened by Soviet agitators, okay? Here we are, a few years later, doing the exact same thing, okay? Now, the United States and the CIA, for their part, yes, we're going to have guys on the ground, boots on the ground, kind of training rebel forces, training rebel elements, okay? We're also going to use some great technology, U-2 spy plane, okay, to gather this information. So we're working together to try and get some stuff done here. And again, to a degree, it's going to work. In the short term, okay? The long-term ramifications of the CIA's actions back in the 1950s are still being felt today, okay? Still being felt today. Example one, okay? We have good old Iran. Mr. Johnson, why does Iran hate us so much? Why does it hate us so much, okay? Well, they hate us because back in the 1950s, they had a democratically elected president who decided to nationalize the oil in the country, okay? So all of the production and all of the drilling for and everything now is under government control, and we didn't like that, okay? More importantly, or I guess more specifically, the United States oil companies which had interests in digging for oil in the Middle East, okay, they didn't like it. Doesn't matter that the government was democratically elected and it was his right to nationalize these resources, okay? We're going to send the CIA in. We're going to get the backing of a gentleman by the name of the Shah of Iran. He's going to be known as the Shah of Iran, okay? And we are going to help overthrow the democratically elected government so that the Shah can become the leader of the country and give us our access to the oil, okay? Doesn't matter, democratically elected. Doesn't matter that the Shah turned out to be a dictator, a strong man, okay? He was our boy. He would do what we wanted him to do, so it was okay, all right? Fast forward to 1978, the Iranian people are tired of the Shah's kind of Western influences and his cruelty. They overthrow him, all right? We see the rise of the Ayatollah Khomeini, all right? And to this day, the Iranians really don't trust the United States, the great Satan. And for fairly good reasons. We helped put a dictator in power over there. Down in Guatemala, we're going to see some of the similar things going on, just like with Hawaii, where we had Sanford Dole, who was really interested in maintaining his interest in Hawaii. We can't let the Queen have control, okay? Down in Guatemala, we're going to have the United Fruit Company crying the same kind of foul, all right? Our assets down here are being threatened by communist rebels. We've got to do something. Boom. We'll send in some Marines. No big deal. No big deal. Okay? Again, 10 years ago, we would have said, this is wrong, we can't do this kind of stuff, because it was the Soviet Union doing it. But when it's us doing it, it's okay, it's okay. With all these covert operations and with the limited success that you had with some of these things, there were times when these operations weren't quite so grand. Things didn't go quite the way that we had anticipated them going, all right? Hungary, okay, same thing. We decided to get greedy and go into the Soviet Union's backyard and encourage a rebellion, okay, in Hungary on the Soviet side of the Iron Curtain, all right? Mistake one, okay, was that we were on the Soviet side of the Iron Curtain. It was a big gamble. It was a very big gamble, okay? When folks were starting to rebel, okay, the Soviet Union responded like the Soviet Union likes to do, okay, with a very, very heavy hand and sent in tanks. All right, that rebellion was put down. The United States talking brinksmanship is going to go that far if the Soviet Unions come on our side of the Iron Curtain, okay? But if they're on their side, we're going to have to throw up our hands and be like, sorry guys, can't help you. All right? And a lot of folks lost their lives as a result of this. The other side of it where we get greedy, we've got our good old U-2 spy plane, and it's a very good piece of equipment, okay? Because we're able to get all kinds of information about Soviet missile bases. We're able to get all kinds of information about Soviet air bases. How many bombers do they have? How many rockets do they have, okay? And it was good. It was so good that we decided to get greedy. And we're going to fly a long way from Pakistan all the way across into Denmark, okay? Into Norway. And halfway across the Soviet Union, the U-2 that was carrying a pilot by the name of Francis Gary Powers was shot down, okay? And as opposed to me talking about it, I want to play a video clip really quick and let you guys take a look at it. So here we are. The U-2 was shot down, Powers was taken prisoner. Up until this time period, okay, but before the plane was shot down, we were, oh, no, there's no such airplane. We don't have any airplanes like, no, we can't. You must have seen a weather balloon or something like that. No big deal. Even after the plane was shot down, okay, the president was like, oh, no, it's just a spy. It's not a spy, anything. It's just a weather balloon, okay? Then all of a sudden, Khrushchev, the premier of the Soviet Union, parades out Powers, okay? And the United States went from this high horse country, okay, we're way up here, oh no, we would never do anything like that, to down a few notches, okay? And the Soviet Union began ratcheting up their rhetoric. We told you they were out to destroy us. We told you they were trying to influence our government. We told you they're trying to overthrow our government. And we've got proof right here. Okay? Big black eye for Eisenhower. Big black eye for the United States. Okay? But what happens? We keep chugging along. We keep doing our thing, growing our economy, sharpening the 3 points of our triad of defense, okay? And waiting for the next time. We come to the end of this time period, and Eisenhower is getting ready to leave office, okay? And as he is getting ready to leave office, he does a look around. He takes a look around and he says, wow, things are crazy. Things are almost out of hand. We as the country need to maintain a strong, healthy military, okay? And we need these various contractors to help us out with that. That is okay. That is okay. We need the airplanes, thank you, Boeing. We need the nuclear technology, thank you, Raytheon, okay? But what's going to start happening in his eyes, okay, and he's going to warn against it, is that these companies that have been building these military arms for us for so many years are having a little bit too much influence inside the Pentagon. A little bit too much influence inside of the government, okay? A little bit too much influence with the American people who work at the factories, who build the airplanes and build the bombs, okay? He's going to warn against it. He's going to warn against what he calls the military-industrial complex. And he's going to say, yep, folks, it's not a good thing. We, the dog, should be telling these companies what to do. We should be wagging our tail. Okay? Instead, we are finding ourselves in a position where the tail is wagging us. Okay? It's telling us what to do. And this is not good to maintain a healthy democracy. Heaven forbid we get a president, he's thinking to himself, that comes into power, okay? That comes into power and doesn't recognize, okay, the amount of destructive nature that they have at their fingertips. Heaven forbid this president gets a bunch of yes men behind him, okay, and something happens on a Tuesday and the president's upset and says, you know what, I've got these nuclear weapons, I'm going to go ahead and use them. Okay? And his yes men are over there saying, yeah, Mr. President, it's a good idea, Mr. President, let's go for it, Mr. President. No, we don't want that kind of a situation, Eisenhower was saying. Okay? We want a president that has control over those outside factors, that has a cool, calm head, and is not going to get dragged around by his nose or his tail or whatever by the military-industrial complex. All right. I'm going to show you a really quick clip on Eisenhower's parting words in regards to the military-industrial complex. Then I'm going to let you guys finish to work on your assignments on Canvas, okay? Have any questions, give me a yell. I'm right here. Thanks much, guys.